apparently there's a lot of things that are changing in Minnesota.
I mean, wow.
And listen, we are on the Yellowhorn of the Twin Cities K-Fan.
Nice.
And they're probably looking around going, listen, I just got a Dalvin Cook jersey, and now I got to get rid of it because Dalvin Cook, according to Adam Schefter of ESPN, the Vikings have informed him that he will be released. That is the plan in place. That Dalvin Cook is going to be released. Not the biggest surprise in the world. There was a lot of stuff out there about Dalvin Cook not being on the Vikings any longer because of financial reasons. Set to make $11 million this year. It was $14 million against the cap. He was also he's going to be owed $2 million when they do finally cut him. And so they're going to save about $9 million. So those are all the numbers to confuse everybody here because numbers are never good on radio. But point being, from a financial standpoint, this does make some sense that Dalvin Cook is no longer a member of the Minnesota Vikings. But I can't help but think, if I'm a Vikings fan somewhere.
Isn't he a major part of their offense?
Yes.
I mean, was I missing something here when I was like, they're letting go of Dalvin Cook? Like, doesn't their offense go through a healthy Dalvin Cook?
Now, I did talk to our Lord and Savior, Scott Shapiro.
Okay.
He is the voice of Minnesota.
And what did he tell you?
And his reasoning was, you know, the physicality, the injuries, all of that stuff sort of played into this.
He has been injured.
Yeah, and the finances, there was the hope was if you could keep Dalvin Cook but at a lower number, that would make the most sense. I heard Tom Pelissero call it, what did he say, a competitive rebuild.
So they wanted him to restructure his contract?
Basically, and he wasn't going to do it.
Oh, why would he?
And so now Dalvin Cook is going to be on the open market. But when it
gets his money.
Yeah, and when it comes to the Minnesota Vikings, I can't help but think this is a blown opportunity, and I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
I think the NFC is more up for grabs than people realize.
Agreed.
Aaron Rodgers is out of the division.
That's correct.
You just won that division.
That's correct.
You were a 13-win team last year.
That's correct.
Given a flawed 13-win team.
That is what it is.
So if the boogeyman finally leaves the closet, to me, it would feel like that's the time that you
for
want
everybody
to
to come out of the closet.
Yeah, like for everybody.
I'm out of the closet. The boogeyman's out of the closet. Everyone's out of the closet. Coop is out of the closet. Whoa!
It just feels like
Coop.
It just feels like this was an opportunity.
Jonas is out of the closet.
Been a while.
Yeah.
It just feels like this was an opportunity for Minnesota to run this thing back, albeit for another year. They're still trying to figure out whether or not they want to continue forward with Kirk Cousins. Man, outside of Philadelphia, who's a sure thing in the NFC? San Fran's got issues at quarterback. The Lions, like everybody talks about the Lions, they want to play.
They haven't even been good yet, right? They haven't been good yet.
The Bears were a 3-win team last year. If you just look at the division,
the Cowboys are the one team that you say there's something that could be there. Although the something there, to me, we've seen as far as Dallas can go with this group. I mean, I just think that's what we've seen as far as they can go.
Yeah, I just think
so who else?
I get the financial reasons why, because look, you're going to save $9 million. You only owe him $2 million off the 11.
But what's your answer for letting him go? And how good will Kirk Cousins be without having Dalvin Cook in his backfield? I mean, that to me was a lot of what alleviated the stress of what Kirk Cousins needed to bring to the table as a quarterback. So you get rid of that running attack, you get rid of that dynamic type of player. I mean, Dalvin Cook is a game-changing player when he's healthy.
And he's been ultra-productive over the past several years. And look, this is a guy who dealt with injuries early in his career, and then once he was able to stay healthy, man, you could rely on him for 40 grabs out of the backfield, 11 to 1,200 yards rushing. Like, he was going to be a focal point on that offense. And when you had Adam Thielen, who's no longer there, he's in Carolina, but with Justin Jefferson, I think the Vikings got worse moving on from Dalvin Cook. And in a conference that's wide open with Rodgers leaving, and look, Philadelphia, and we'll get into that later on, they've done everything right this offseason to want to run this thing back, but the Super Bowl hangover is a real thing. Like, people can try and deny it all they want. It's a real thing. I feel like Minnesota had a chance here, if it was only for 1 year, to try and do something.
You think it's gone without Dalvin Cook?
They got worse.
Who's their remaining running back?
Alexander Madison, who's been productive. I mean, he's no Dalvin Cook, but he's a guy that they look at, and I think Kevin.
Is he a guy? Is this a depth chart or can they add another? Is there like you add an Ezekiel Elliott? Like, what are you?
But if you were going to add another running back who's going to cost you a little bit, why not just roll with?
But is he going to cost
Cook?
you? Is he going to cost you a little bit?
Yeah, I don't think. What's interesting is Ezekiel Elliott's a year younger than Dalvin Cook, and I think there's a big difference between how those two are viewed because there's going to be a market for Dalvin Cook.
If Alexander Madison is your starting running back, I mean, there's not enough of a sample size. 74 carries, 283 yards. Like, that's what you're basing your future off of? I know Kirk Cousins is good. I know guys think that Kirk Cousins is good. I personally, listen, I know if Q was here, he would argue me down and tell me all the things that Kirk Cousins does, and then you would sit there and you co-sign it. But Kirk Cousins needs help. To me, Kirk Cousins isn't that world-beating. He is a heartbeat away. He's a chromosome away from not being a franchise quarterback, if you ask me. Like, he's almost, yeah, like, I just, for me, you have to have a safety valve for a guy like Kirk Cousins, meaning you have to be able to get the ball and get downhill and get tough yards in the running game. You got to have a guy that can give you an alleviating of passing the ball downfield. You got to get it to him out of the backfield. That was Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook was the perfect complement to Justin Jefferson and what they have and Thielen. But Thielen isn't even there anymore, right? So Thielen is gone, I believe. Didn't he leave in free agency?
Yeah, he's with Carolina.
Yeah. I just, to me, we're going to find out if they are indeed going with this running back that is unproven and you're okay with letting Dalvin Cook go. We're going to find out truly how good Kirk Cousins is this season.
Yeah, if I'm a Vikings fan, I'm frustrated because I feel like
I'm scared
a window.
If I'm a Vikings fan. And you have cause for concern because I don't know. I think you disrupted the balance of what this offense was bringing to the table. And it seemed as though with Justin Jefferson transitioning into probably being the best receiver in the game right now, it seems as though if you have that balance with Dalvin Cook in your backfield, that just maybe they take a step forward this year. Again, like you said, everybody's out of the closet because the boogeyman came out and said it was safe to come out. So everybody gets to run and play. But if you can defense Kirk Cousins, then what do you have out of the North?
Yeah, and the defense.
Who's going to get it out of the North?
The defense in Minnesota has been the problem the past couple of years, as we've talked about on the show before. I mean, Kirk Cousins did his best. They had, something like 7 comeback wins last year. Just like they were just full-blown meltdowns on defense that Kirk Cousins and that offense got him out of. And I look at it, and I think it's so much different than with Ezekiel Elliott. Like, everybody knew, listen, Tony Pollard's the guy now. Ezekiel Elliott, his body, he can't go like he used to. Everybody's aware of that. I still feel like Dalvin Cook's got something left in the tank. And I think the market is going to dictate that because I can't imagine he's going to be out there floating around for a long time looking for work. Miami and Denver rumored.
It could be just because of maybe what his price tag would be. Because if I'm Dalvin Cook, he can still command $1. It's not like Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, I think Dalvin Cook has shown that he's still a feature back at a dying position, but still, he's still a guy that could be a feature back for your team. He'd be a perfect fit for Miami. He'd be a great fit for several different teams. I mean, make no mistake about that.
It's the verbiage that I mentioned from Tom Pelissero. He was on with Rich Eisen yesterday, and he just said, they're trying to competitively rebuild. It's like, what the hell is that? What are we doing?
That means they're 1 year away from getting rid of Kirk Cousins'
right.
ass too.
That's what it means.
Right.
So, like, if you really wanted to competitively rebuild, man, swallow the $11 million that you're going to have to pay Dalvin Cook and give this thing a shot. One more year in a conference that a lot of people look at and go, it's up for grabs right now. I mean, like, you look at the NFC and you just say, man, who the hell knows what's going to happen with Philadelphia? We all assume they're going to be the team that's going to be the one to, make another jump and maybe win a Super Bowl this time around and all of that stuff that comes along with it. I think this is a frustrating 24 to 48 hours for Vikings fans who probably saw the writing on the wall and are now looking around going, well, where the hell do we stack up in the NFC? Like, if you just go by betting odds, according to our friends at DraftKings, the Eagles, the Niners, the Cowboys, the Lions, the Seahawks, and the Saints, all with better odds, projected to win the NFC.
Dalvin went over 1,000. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
The last 4 years.
Clockwork. 1,100 yards out of the backfield.
1,100. He had 1,500 in 2020. That was his outlier year, but just consistent.
And then pass catching out of the backfield.
39 receptions.
That safety valve. As I said, 30, 40 catches out of the backfield every year you can count on him.
39 receptions.
And now that's gone. So
that's some real production out the door, I'll tell you that. So 1,000-yard guy the last 4 years. That's I mean, where are you finding that? Where are you going to find that?
Yeah.
Tennessee?
We'll just have Zeke.
Who else is going over 1,000 yards yearly in the league?
Zeke, if you do it in 3 years. Just saying. If we're talking math here in the program.